Look, if we needed more signs that the U.S. labor market is mired in extreme difficulty, look at these latest numbers. So what's driving this surge in layoffs at the start of 2026, and how widespread do you think this trend is across all the various sectors? Because I know we lost a lot of manufacturing jobs last year.
Yeah, manufacturing has been a sore spot. The only areas where you're really gaining jobs are in the health sector, education sector, and the leisure and hospitality. But a lot of the other sectors remain weak. And in fact, the ADP report suggested that small businesses basically are not creating many jobs. You saw some creation of jobs in the medium-sized businesses. But maybe one of the things we need to look at is the tariffs, because a lot of surveys that the Federal Reserve has taken suggest that because of tariffs, small businesses don't deal with tariffs so well. So the way they defend themselves against that increased cost is by economizing or cutting back on how many workers they're hiring. And in other sectors, they're not hiring because they can't find workers. We know that with all the deportations, the construction industry is facing challenges when they're trying to build homes and finding employees. So you really have a multiple of factors out there. And you see that in many of the numbers. You mentioned Challenger, but if you look at the JOLTS survey that looks at the number of hires and the numbers of separations, you are seeing that the spread is narrowing more and more each month. And that's why non-farm payrolls are coming in so weak. And that's why the ADP report gave you a much weaker than expected net gain for private payrolls. They don't measure government, but they look at essentially the private jobs. They are remaining quite soft.
Yeah, and he also talked about Trump's economic plans, because if you listen to the administration, we're just about to turn the corner. So how are employers' hiring plans for 2026 trending compared to last year, and how long can Trump keep saying, well, this goes back to the Biden administration? Because we can't continue to say slow to fire, slow to hire. That's getting old.
Well, not only is it getting old, but it's not true. We basically see that over the last couple of years, you've seen that the labor market has gotten softer and softer. But when people say that nobody is hiring and nobody is firing, you have to be careful. If you look at the numbers, Sean, and you look at the JOLTS survey that looks at the total number of hires in a given month, in the month of December, they just came out with those numbers this month. The companies hired 5.29 million workers, but of course they ended up shedding something like 5.25 million workers. So the net amount is what gets reported every single month, and we'll get those numbers next week. But people are hiring and people are firing. It's just that is a very narrow number. And of course, that's been coming down over the last couple of years because, first of all, economic growth is not that robust, and companies are really squeezing their labor because they're trying to find ways to not pass on all the tariffs. We know that there's a lot of pressure on companies not to do it. And the only way they can do it is by saving on how much it costs to produce a product. And labor is certainly one of those factors. And by the way, the larger companies are finding less challenges dealing with the tariffs because they have so many products that has been documented in surveys that many of these companies are basically spreading out some of that cost either through lower cost, but they're also spreading it among more different products out there, so you don't notice it as much.
Okay, let's talk about the role that AI and automation are going to be playing in employment moving forward in terms of displacement and also creating jobs in the U.S. economy.
Well, we know that artificial intelligence is going to matter. I just wrote a recent Substack article that looked at the trend levels of productivity, and they're increasing. And there's no doubt in my mind that productivity is increasing because of artificial intelligence. The big question is whether artificial intelligence will, in fact, lead to a destruction of jobs. The answer is yes. Some of the jobs that can be automated easily, if the work things that are conducted are repetitive and they're easy to replicate by a robot, of course those jobs go away. But some of the more complex jobs, will be using artificial intelligence as a complementary factor in order to enhance the jobs. And then, just like every single time that you have new technologies, new jobs get created. I wrote a paper recently that talked about that in the future, there are going to be positions where supervisors will have to learn how to manage robots and human beings. That's a new job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, more jobs will be created because of artificial intelligence too.
Okay, what about the delayed, revised official data releases and our understanding of early year employment? Because we're looking back, we're not really looking forward. And at what point people who do support Trump are overlooking a lot of things that really draw so much attention to him because they have faith in his economic plans. But it's tough to keep that faith looking at the way the economy is operating.
Well, it is very challenging because one of the things that have been mentioned every time a good number comes out, then of course the administration takes the credit. Bad number comes out, you blame the prior administration. But that's true for almost any administration that comes in. It's a little bit more true in this one, but I think no president has completely not done that in the past. But the fact is that now we have a full year, and in this full year, we've seen lower employment, and inflation, which was supposed to come down, is still there. We still have inflation that's near 3%. And of course, the Federal Reserve target is 2%.
Right.
So again, you cannot keep blaming the prior administration when the numbers are coming in the way they are.